Good day. How are you all? I'm super excited to talk to you today. I want to speak a little bit about the terminology that I use on AsePlace. I don't want any confusion, and I know that we live in a society full of confusion. I don't want to partake in that. Feel free to put in the comments what you disagree with or what you may have some questions about when I say certain things or when I use certain terminologies. I will not get offended. I love when you guys are on fire for our maker, our creator. But I do know that there are a lot of organizations, there's a lot of religions, there are a lot of misleading information out there. Just want to get on here and offer you guys clarity and truth. At Ace Place, I refer to human beings as gods because that's what we are. Right off the bat, let me let you know. Being a god does not mean being the source. The source is the creator. The source is your origin, it's your core, it's where you came from, it's the womb of wombs. There was nothing that created the creator. The creator is the start. The source is the start of all things. The source is the source. All gods are resources for the source, but it's important to understand that you are God, and I'm going to tell you why. Humans have always had this inclination to want to control one another, and the way you control a person is you distort their origin. You distort where they come from, you distort what powers they have, you neutralize those powers by using certain terminologies that register in the mind as less than what they actually are. Okay, did you guys get that? Best way to do this is to tell the half truth, or to tell the truth and omit some things, to not offer clarity, which is why, and I'm not in that business. I do not partner with principality of lies. I partner with the principalities of truth and light and love. If I tell you you're a sheep and you're in need of a shepherd, that is a truth. It's true because there are many ignorances that we are plagued with, being in this fallen state of failure, being shapen by iniquities that are just illusions. If I tell you you're a sheep, I'm telling you the truth, but you're not mindless. We affiliate being a sheep with being mindless or powerless, and that is not what you are. Imagine the shepherd being the keeper of dragons. I'll just use that as an example. You're a dragon, you've got this holy fire in your belly. You're one of the most majestic creatures on earth. You have a lot of power, king of the skies, king of the seas, king of the land. You're not at the bottom of the food chain, but there's a keeper of dragons. Would that be the same thing as the dragon being the keeper's sheep? Yes, it would. It's equivalent, but it does not take away from the dragon's power. When I say that we humans are gods, we were made to be gods, that's actually an understatement as to what we were made to be. But I'm using that because the word God registers to your mind as this powerful, more than human being. You are more than logic. You are more than physical. You are more than all of the laws your vessel, your coat, your covering is subjected to. You're more than all of those things. You surpass all of those things in your capabilities and what you're able to accomplish. So that's what I mean when I say you're a god. I also want to point this out. The same way we as gods have been lessened in how we're described is the same way your source has been lessened in how they are described. Let me just hit on this a little bit, but a lot of this elaboration is inside of AsePlace. Let's talk a little bit about the source. First of all, the source is not a god. The source created gods, so the source can't be a god. The source created animals, source can't be an animal. The source created elements, the source cannot be an element. The source can present themselves to you in whatever form they want to present themselves to you in, but the source cannot be what they created. That lessens the source's majesty. When you call the source God and you subscribe to the mistranslation, let there be no other gods before me, that's a mistranslation. There's no such thing as other gods, because that would put gods in the same category as the source, and it is impossible. The source is is incomparable. There is no comparison to the source. So the source is not a God. The source is also not bound to gender. I know that you guys, a lot of you are Christian. You guys follow the infamous Bible. Thank you. Thank you, helper. When we communicate, two things happen. When you speak, you're translating divine thought. You're translating what's come in your mind to whoever you're speaking to. And if you're a careful speaker, you're trying to speak in a way you think the listener is going to understand it. That's the first translation that happens during communication. The second translation that happens is the hearer's translation. And based on whatever filters they have activated, whether it's emotional filters, experience filters, iniquity filters, culture filters, environment filters, whatever filters they have activated in the moment of hearing you, your translation goes through a second translation before it reaches their comprehensive cavity. So by the time it reaches their perception, by the time it reaches their comprehension, your speech has already gone through two translations. When the source was speaking to human beings, it is not just possible, it is very evident. A lot of what the source was saying went through translation, which is why it is very dangerous to not just read the Bible, but read any word or work of human beings and of the source without the helper, which is the source's essence and spirit and energy. If you try to read anything, listen to anything, partake in anything without the helper, your perspective and perception will be that of a filtered one, filtered through failure. And so you won't get it. You won't understand it. You'll lean on interpretation rather than revelation. Revelation comes by way of consecration, and consecration takes isolation and it takes faith, because that means you have no other human being around to offer their filtered interpretations to you. You have to actually have faith, and you have to hear the helper tell you what something means. So that's why a lot of people don't consecrate. And that's also why a lot of people are not carrying revelation. They are not carrying truth. This is in alignment with prophecy. Prophecy says that very few will find the narrow path. That is because not a lot of people are seeking it, because to seek it, you have to unplug. And when I say unplug, I'm not talking about a month. I'm not talking about your month sabbaticals that you go on, your 2-month vacations from performance churches that you go on. I'm not talking about that. You got to consecrate. Now that we understand communication and we understand what translations happen during the course of communication, when it came time to be translated, it was translated in a way that was favorable or understandable to the people translating it. When we talk about the King James version of the canon, King James had to use terminologies his people could understand. He had to use terminologies that were equivalent to what they had going on. One of the main terminologies I want to correct, the kingdom, when it talks about the kingdom of the source doesn't have a kingdom. The source has an empire. If you go and you research the definitions of a kingdom and the definitions of an empire, you'll understand why I say that. Another mistranslation, when Hosea says the people perish for lack of knowledge. No, people aren't perishing for lack of knowledge. They're perishing for lack of understanding. Why do you think it was so detrimental that we eat from the tree of knowledge? It's because that tree didn't come with understanding. See, the enemy sold you dessert without serving you the entree. Okay, the enemy sold you sugar without the salt. Understanding and wisdom is the salt. Knowledge is the sugar. 12, you could say 12 divided by 4. You put that in a calculator, it gives you the answer. But if you don't work it out on paper, you don't understand what that is saying. You know it. You know what that's saying, but do you understand what it's saying? Do you understand why 12 divided by 4 is 3? What does divided mean? That's the difference between knowledge and understanding. Hosea was not saying the people perish for lack of knowledge. Hosea was saying the people perish for lack of understanding. This last one that I'm going to give you, and then I'm going to get off of these, misunderstandings. There's one that says there are different types of love, and it talks about agape love, and it talks about, you're not going to show your brother the same love as you show your wife. That's false. There's one love. There's only one kind of love. There are different types of affection. They're not different types of love. There's one love, and the love is unconditional, but the love has nothing to do with sex. It has nothing to do with sexuality. It has nothing to do with affection. Love has everything to do with choice, to be in alignment with the source's definition of what love is. If love is patient and you're not being patient, guess what? There's no gray area. In this moment, you're not loving the person you're not showing patience with. If love forgives and you're unforgiving, there is no gray area. I love you, I just don't forgive you. No. In this moment, you hate that person. Love and hate, there's no gray area. So a lot of people, for lack of understanding, they make gray areas because all a gray area is knowledge without understanding. Another example of that is when it says Jacob loved Rachel. No, Jacob lusted Rachel. Jacob did not love Rachel. And because Jacob was supposed to love Leah and did not, the source closed Rachel's womb. Okay, I'll get off of all of that. I just dropped some nuggets to let you know that AsePlace provides you with revelation. It provides you with understanding. I do not want people to perish for lack of understanding. And let me just put this out here. AsePlace does not take away your free will. You have free will, and I do not condemn you because I don't have the credentials to condemn you. So I'm not going to call you stupid. I'm not going to call you weird. I'm not going to say on to hell with you, if you disagree with anything that I'm saying. Because a couple things. First of all, this revelation I got, it didn't come from another human being. So even though I'm sharing these revelations that I've received with you, it may not be time for you to receive them. Or it may be time for me to plant the seed, and life has to water it, and the helper has to cultivate and has to shine the source's light on it before it's actually revealed in a form of understanding to you. So don't think that going on AsePlace, you're supposed to just agree with everything that I'm saying or understand everything that I'm saying right off the bat. No, life is a journey. You receive understanding based on the capacity you have. And for those who have a small capacity, again, don't think that means I'm better than you. I'm not. Capacity comes from suffering. Capacity comes from sitting in the valleys, feeling the sting of the rain without running, without pretending like you didn't do something wrong, without gaslighting, without being narcissistic, without ghosting people, that's what builds capacity. You allow your mistakes to sting you. You allow your mistakes to hurt. You don't try to coddle and make it better. You don't try to make it soft. You say, dang, I really messed this up, and this is how. Understanding comes by way of reflection, and refinement comes by that way too. Consuming fire of the source comes by way of submission and humbling thyself before the source. You have to walk in humility. You have to sit in humility. You have to silence in humility. Because a lot of us just, we talk and vent all the time. And after that, we feel good enough to carry on. But you have to vent, and then you have to be filled by perspective and perception of the source. Your perception is warped. You can't rely on your own thoughts. You can't rely on your own understanding. When I go through something, rather than lean to my own understanding, I say, hey, this is what I feel happened, but I need you to show me the truth. Also, I want to point this out. There is one truth. There's not multiple truths, but there are multiple layers to a truth. Don't be afraid if the Lord shows you something that wasn't shown to the apostles. Just as the apostles learned things earlier prophets didn't know, you are now in a time you're going to be learning things that the apostles themselves didn't know. There's a scripture that says that I will teach you things unsearchable. That means if you consecrate, you're going to learn revelations that you can't Google. You can't go to a seminary school and receive. You can come to people like me who have received revelations, but let me tell you something. The source that I serve is so vast, I hadn't even scraped the surface, and no human being has. You can come to me and get my revelations, but there are still revelations you yourself are supposed to discover and share with me and everybody else. Everybody's supposed to discover their own cluster of revelation from the source. The source is just that vast. So I just wanted to get on here and offer that understanding. Even when I say I'm spiritual and I'm not religious, I'm saying I don't subscribe to the religions out there, but I do have a faith, and my faith has revealed truth to me, and it allows me to live as a realized human being, which is all a God is. A God is a realized creation. Realized means you operate from a place of understanding and or obedience, because sometimes you're not going to understand, but you're going to have to obey without understanding. Plugged into alignment with the source. So I just wanted to get on here and put you guys at rest that no, this is not, you're not signing up for witchcraft. You're not signing up for anything dark. This is all of the light. This is all of truth. I want you to know you're safe to explore on AsePlace. I've been called everything, you guys. Wow. Mama Wata. I'm not that. I'm not a siren. I'm not a flatterer. I'm not evil. But I'm also not obligated, nor am I permitted to spend time convincing you of those things. If you disagree with me, disagree with me. That's completely fine. However, I want to warn you about your tongue against me because I understand it just wouldn't be fair for me not to warn you. If you disagree with something I say, it's fine. When you start calling me evil, you start calling me whatever you want to call me, you curse yourself. If you don't understand something I say, or if it doesn't ring true to you, go to the source in prayer and sit with the source in meditation. It's a two-part thing. Pray to the source about what I've said. Take whatever words, whatever revelation, and go to the source. But then when the source speaks to you about me, believe whatever the source tells you about me. I had acquaintances, I guess you can call them, and the source told them both that I was Deborah, and they didn't believe the source. But they both heard the same thing. So whatever the source tells you about me, even if you don't believe it, just close your mouth. Don't say anything. I'm not saying that from a, ooh, I'm bad. It's just a law that the same would be true for me. If you are in alignment with the source and I don't necessarily understand you, I have no right to put my mouth on you. I could be doing myself in. The process of refinement is not fun. You're going to find out a lot of things that sometimes you wish you knew earlier. You're also going to find out things that make you question your entire life. You're going to find out things that make you realize, oh my goodness, I married the wrong person. I'm in the wrong covenant. I'm in a carnal covenant rather than, y'all would call it a kingdom covenant, but I'm in a carnal covenant rather than a source ordained covenant. I've forfeited my territory that I was supposed to get. You may find out things that, oh, I thought my family was the problem the whole time. It was actually me. Or I thought I was the problem the whole time. It was actually my family. I thought my family were my friends, but they were my hindrances. On the road of refinement, discovery of understanding, you're going to find out some things that's going to make it very apparent whether you are wheat or tear and whether or not the people around you and the family and the friends and all of that are wheat or tear. But don't get caught up in other people's identity. You got enough to worry about on your own. I went all off, but I just wanted to establish the definitions behind the terminologies that I'm using. When I say you are a God, humans say things like only human. Don't put only in front of human. That lets me know you have absolutely no idea what a human is. In our uncorrupted original state, what you guys call angels, they trembled at the sight of humans. That ought to let you know. I don't know if y'all know what angels look like, but if those things are trembling at the sight of us, you didn't look like what you looked like now. Oh, let me back that up because I like to back up everything I say with truth, the word, which the word is not the Bible. The word is living. We're going to get into that. That's a whole nother conversation because I could be on here for an entire hour just spewing out revelations. When the Messiah was crucified and came back, he was unrecognizable. Why? Man just died 3 days ago. You done forgot how his face looked already? No, he did not look like himself. The only way he was able to be identified was by the scars, not facial recognition. We also read a little bit about this when it talks about Moshe or Moses going and speaking in the presence, not face to face. Let's just cut that out. In the presence of the Lord. Spoke in the presence of the Lord, Moshe's face changed, but he was still recognizable because he hadn't ascended. Once you enter this different realm, you do not look like you. There are a lot of near-death experiences too that you can watch. You are a completely different being and you're not what you see in the mirror. You have no idea how much you're coated, but the only human part of you is the coat. To define yourself as merely a human or only a human is to lie to yourself and about yourself. All of this information is on AsePlace. Deep in-depth talks and animated videos about this is on AsePlace. If you're interested in anything that I've said, if you want to go on a journey of discovery and truth without distractions, because I would have done like a whole YouTube channel of teachings, but there are all kinds of ads. There are all kinds of, just distractions on here. I just said, no, to heck with it. I'm going to build a website, and the website lets you journey, lets your kids journey. You can do this with your family, you guys. The website is family friendly. There are no pornographic images, no profanities, no anything on there that your children wouldn't be able to look at or hear. Even the music, it's children friendly. Go on over to AsePlace and get your journey on. Okay, journey to understanding, journey to your core, journey to the real reality instead of the illusion we've been kind of plagued to live in for a while. But I just wanted to offer you guys that understanding. I hope this video did more enlightening than confusing, or the Lord's been trying to teach me how to take things slow with people. I don't know if I did a good job at it, but let them that have ears hear. Go ahead and go to www.aceplace.com. Start your journey. I love you.